What if the FBI is buying your personal data, your location, your internet activity, without a warrant? In this tense exchange, Pramila Jayapal confronts Christopher Wray over serious civil liberties concerns the government doesn't want to clearly answer.
From Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Wray, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your service to the country. I do want to focus on some areas of concern around American civil liberties that I have had long-standing concerns about. In testimony to Senate Intelligence in March, you stated that the FBI had previously purchased commercial database information that includes location data derived from internet advertising, but that to your knowledge, the FBI does not currently purchase data. But just last month, the ODNI declassified a report revealing that the FBI and other agencies do purchase significant amounts of commercially available information about Americans from data brokers. And the report notes that commercially available information, quote, has increasingly important risks and implications for U.S. persons' privacy and civil liberties, as commercially available information can reveal sensitive and intimate information about individuals. It is public information that the FBI uses Babel Street and Ventel and has a Lexus account. All of these companies provide data for purchase. Can you tell me how the FBI uses that data?
Respectfully, this is a topic that gets very involved to explain, and so what I would prefer to do is have our subject matter experts come back up and brief you, and they can answer your questions in detail about it, because there's a lot of confusion that can be unintentionally caused about this topic.
But does the FBI purchase data?
My testimony that you referred to before remains the same. And the story about the ODNI report doesn't change that. But again, there's a lot of precision and technical dimensions to this.
Well, I do appreciate that, but I'm looking at a report that is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence saying that the FBI purchases data. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter this into the record.
Objection.
Do you know if the contracts with data brokers like the ones I described provide location data?
My testimony about purchasing commercial database information that includes location data derived from internet advertising remains the same, which is that we currently do not do that.
But the information that you have that has already been purchased, does it contain location information?
Again, I'm not trying to be obtuse or difficult here. I just know from experience that the more you drill into this whole issue of commercial data, geolocation data, et cetera, that it gets very involved. In some cases, involves pilot projects that are in the past. In some cases, it involves national security information, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that we get you the information you need.
That's great. I will take that, but I do want to say that this is just an extremely important issue for the American people to understand how their data is being used. That is location data, that is biometric information, it's medical and mental health information, it's information related to individuals' communications, it's information about people's internet activity. And while I understand that that's complicated, that is the reason that you come before us, so that the American people can hear this. Let me ask you this. Does the FBI have a written policy outlining how it can purchase and use commercially available information?
There are a number of policies that bear on this topic. Again, that could be part of the same briefing that we're happy to provide. I don't dispute at all that this is an important topic. I'm simply saying that precisely because it's such an important topic, that a minute and 12 seconds counting down is not the best way for me to
I understand
explain
that, but I'm asking whether there is a policy. It sounds like there is a policy. When was that policy last updated?
That I can't, as I sit here right now, I don't have the answer for you on that. But again, there are a number of policies that are relevant to this, and so that may affect the...
And you'll commit to providing those to us so that we can explore them too?
I would commit to providing you a briefing that will provide hopefully very helpful information to help you understand better this whole topic.
What about a written policy governing how commercially available information can be used in criminal investigations?
I think it's all wrapped up in the same answer I just gave.
I mean, the reason that this is so important is because the question is whether the FBI uses that data to generate leads for investigations only or further along in the investigative process. There's public reporting on DHS contracts with the same data brokers that I mentioned earlier, totaling millions of taxpayer dollars. And as you know, in the 2018 Supreme Court decision in Carpenter versus the United States, a court held that it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment for the government to access historical location data without a warrant. Does the FBI have a written policy interpreting the Supreme Court's decision in Carpenter?
If I recall correctly, there was guidance, I can't remember if it's a policy or what, that came out after the Carpenter decision. But again, I think that'll be encompassed in the briefing that we're talking
Well,
about.
I'm going to follow up with you. I want to thank you again for your service. This is a critically important issue for the American people to understand. We have bipartisan support around FISA reauthorization and the concerns we have around FISA reauthorization. And unless we really understand what measures the FBI is taking to ensure that people's privacy is protected, I think it's going to be a very difficult reauthorization process. I'm sure you know that. Thank you, Director Wray. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back, and I would just say, well said. Appreciate your work with colleagues, bipartisan area and bipartisan approach in this area, and you have friends over here who want to help you on that. We now go to the gentleman from, I know, Director Wray, if we can go just a couple more, then we'll take a little break, if that works for the Director. A couple more on each side, then we can take a break? Okay. I think, okay. All right, we'll go.
This wasn't a partisan jab, it was a constitutional gut check. Pramila Jayapal pressed FBI Director Christopher Wray on a simple but explosive issue. Is the FBI purchasing Americans' personal data through data brokers, and if so, how is it being used? Despite public reports from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence indicating that federal agencies do buy commercially available data, Wray repeatedly sidestepped direct answers. Instead of clarity, we got deflections, offers of future briefings, vague references to technical dimensions, and uncertainty over whether written policies even exist. That's alarming when the data in question can include location tracking, biometric information, medical data, and online activity. Jayapal anchored her questioning in the Supreme Court of the United States ruling in Carpenter versus United States, which made clear that warrantless access to historical location data violates the Fourth Amendment. Yet, the FBI director couldn't definitively say whether there's a written policy interpreting that ruling. This exchange highlights a growing concern. Has surveillance simply moved from government collection to private data brokers, creating a constitutional loophole? Until Congress gets straight answers, civil liberties remain at risk.